Hi everybody, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I know it's been a long time, but I'm really happy to be back with another video. My name is Sukaja, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about all the books that I read in the month of March. March turned out to be a really good reading month for me, and I managed to read 4 different books from very different genres in terms of fiction. So I only read fiction, and I read a couple of very interesting books which I'm going to talk about in this video. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoy what's in store. The first book I read in the month of March, this is And Every Morning the Way Home Gets Longer and Longer by Fredrik Backman. Now, I've only read one other book by Fredrik Backman, and this was also a very expensive book, by the way, but I think it was quite an experience in itself. It has lovely illustrations inside, and it's a very heart-wrenching story. It's not for the faint-hearted reader, I'm afraid, and I would have to give a disclaimer that it could bring you to tears if you were to pick this book up. So this is about a man who is a grandfather who is suffering from Alzheimer's. He's just been, I think, diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and he's sitting on a park bench and discussing the story of his life with his grandson. It's about this tender relationship that exists between a grandfather and a grandson. It's a bit philosophical, and at places it's also just very mundane. He remembers his wife, whom he has lost many years ago, and it's very reflective. It's medium paced, and it is filled with nostalgia. It's just an experience, and you will definitely read this book in one sitting. Would I want to read it again? Probably not. Did I think it was worth all the hype? Probably not. I did not think it was worth the hype. I think it's a lovely book to have, and if you're a fan of Fredrik Backman's books, you will probably enjoy this and devour this and keep this on your shelves for years and years. But it might not be for everybody. That's what I would say about this book. My husband took the book and started reading it, and he was brought to tears immediately, like almost within the first 10 pages, right? So that's the kind of book this is, so be forewarned. The next book I have here is another short book which you can finish in no time. This is Claire Keegan's Small Things Like These. This is about Christmas. It's set during Christmas time in Ireland, and we don't know the time period in which this book is set. And it's about a father. He lives in a house of women. He has 3 daughters who are young and a wife, and he's just in his middle age, and he kind of, thinks back about the way he's lived his life, and a lot of things come up in his mind. During this Christmas season, he looks at the people in his neighborhood. He encounters them regularly, whether it's a baker or some other person like a neighbor, and he's always trying to help them out. And he reminisces his earlier days and how he was orphaned and yet adopted into someone's family. And the book deals with this question of adoption really well, I think. In such short length, it manages to bring up a lot of questions about adoption and all of that. So the couple is really old here, but then and they already have a house full, and they have just about enough money to get by. And there's this nunnery that exists on the other side of town, and there are girls in that nunnery who have been abandoned. There's a lot of suspicion about what really goes on in the nunnery, and then there's this one girl that this man, our protagonist, sees, and then he decides to want to help her, and he's simply drawn to her. This is a very philanthropic book which kind of talks about the importance of doing good in the world and being good, and how we come into this world for a very short time, and what are we going to be doing. More than anything else, it's just about touching people's lives in a positive way so that you'll be remembered, and just being a good person in society, in your family as well. So this book is full of depth and meaning, and it's profound, and yet the writing is extremely simple. You can read it in a sitting. Highly recommend it, and it was totally worth my time. Now, the third book I read was very different. This is Elmet by Fiona Mosley. This is a bit of a dark book, as the cover implies, and this reminded me so much of my reading experience of Ghost Wall by Sarah Moss that I was instantly smitten by the first few pages itself. I was like, I'm so glad I picked this up, because in Sarah Moss's Ghost Wall, a very similar thing is happening. It's about this family in this book that is living isolated in a forest. It's just a little girl, her brother, and her father. And it's the 3 of them making their existence. The children are very isolated from society. They don't know how to live in society. They've never gone to school as such. They don't know anything about their mother, who has disappeared from their lives. And it's just the dad and the kids. The dad has some mysterious business that he's involved in that makes money, and that's how they get by. But we don't find out about the dark entrails of his business up in the middle of the book. The kids are just going about their days. They're very content to have a loving father. They make do with whatever they have. and they try to make the best of their time together. They play outside in the cove, and it's in a lovely setting. It's in the middle of a forest, and then there's a little train track behind them. Whenever the train passes, they can feel it from the house and things like that. It's very insulated, the existence, and when you read about the life of these people in this family, you're immediately drawn into that little house that they occupy that needs a lot of repairs, but they're making do with it anyway, and you feel very much a part of their lives. You witness everything from their point of view because the narrator is a child, and I didn't find it jarring to read the narration even though it was from the point of view of a younger person. It explores familial bonds, and at the same time this has elements of Godfather in it. Like, there's a quote at the front of the book that says Hansel and Gretel meets the Godfather, and this is a quote by Sunday Times, and I think that is very apt for this book and what it has inside. So that was the third book I read in the month of March. Now the fourth book is a backlist title of Maggie O'Farrell. Now I have read a couple of Maggie O'Farrell's books. I've read her memoir, I Am, and I've also read Hamnet, which was her more recent. So going into this, I had very high expectations. I thought this was going to be probably my favorite book of Maggie's. The cover was also very misleading because I assumed it would be a book that's kind of set in a dystopian setting, and it's about a heat wave because that's what the title says. It says heat wave. So I really thought it's going to focus a lot on the experience of the heat wave. There isn't much information about the heat wave. Maybe I was just looking for a lot more information from a geographical environmental standpoint. But anyway, this was shortlisted for a Costa Award, by the way, so this should have been really, really good. It's very detailed. It's not a fast-paced book. It's pretty medium-paced. There are very interesting characters in here. But on the whole, would I say it's a very memorable book? No, I would say it's largely forgettable. Story is a bit of a drag, and it does go on and on when it could have been a lot shorter. There is a lot of these characters who are all very flawed. None of them are very lovable. So all of them have issues and they're just getting on with life. It's set in 1976 during July heat wave. I feel like it doesn't do much. So I've written about this extensively on my Instagram page, so feel free to go check out my review over there. If you're not following, you should consider doing that. Oh, and I have an announcement as well. I have just launched a little Instagram small business shop where you can buy some of my old books that I'm trying to unhaul. So I'm regularly going to be putting books out there for unhaul purposes, and if you are in Bangalore and you find any of the books to be up your street, then please DM me on the Insta shop and I will be happy to help with delivery. I think out of the 4 books, my favorite read would by far be a tie between Elmet and Claire Keegan's Small Things Like These. So that's it from my side. I hope you have a good reading month in April. I will be back with another bookish video. In the meantime, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. You can also choose to hit the bell icon so that you'll be notified every time I post a new video. In the meantime, stay safe, stay sane. Bye.